wanted you to care. But can't you see that I have been busy trying to pretend that I don't care?
Look, I do care, but I don't care. My phone is always on me, but I'm not there. Notified, but it always coincides with something that overrides. On the grind over time, nobody gets no reply. That's bona fide, no disrespect. Screen's always lighting up like a cigarette. I save my writing for the symphonette. Here's the thing.
It wasn't my fault. You're not my problem.
Look.
But you got issues.
Hey.
Don't call me.
You said I should have texted you more often. If I would have wanted you to care. But can't you see that I have been busy trying to pretend that I don't care?
Why do you think this is? What you say doesn't match up with how you're leaving me on red and how you never pick up the note that's on the girls on your phone. So you gotta be high Candy Crush score. Boy, you're wasting your time. Let me tell you, babe, it wasn't my fault. You're not my problem. Boy, you got issues. Don't call me.
You said I should have texted you more often. If I would have wanted you to care. But can't you see that I have been busy trying to pretend that I don't care? And you say I should have texted.
Don't hold out for a text that you'll never get. Are you bitter yet, or is it jealousy? Fundamentally, there's nothing you could thread to top my lethargy. A message in a bottle, in that bottle, in an ocean. In that ocean is no metaphor for my devotion, but I don't have the energy. I don't have the energy.
And you say I should have texted you more often. If I would have wanted you to care. But can't you see that I have been busy trying to pretend that I don't care?
Phone is always on me.
Hey, what's up, people? Guess I don't know. I'll just put it here. What's up? What's up? What's up? How is everybody doing? Hopefully, good. All right, we got Martha. Martha is here with me. Hey, Martha, keeping me some company. It's pretty cold right now. What's up, everybody? Allison, how's it going? Blue Eyes, Fish, Deb, how you doing? Welcome, everybody. Sorry, I had this yesterday for 7, or was it 6? I think it was 6, but then I had to reschedule because lots of people were on yesterday. And then, of course, today, somebody else was on. So I decided to make the stream about half an hour later. So welcome, everybody, even if you're not chatting in the chat. What's up? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so where do I even start? So I titled my stream about the 3rd of January. If you didn't know, I was in Windsor, Ontario, and a lot of shit went down. I did go to Willisted Manor, but before that, very interesting situation. So I typically travel a lot. You may or may not know this, but I typically travel a lot. And the thing about traveling a lot is, I don't know, sometimes I will do ride shares. All right, Martha, come on. Come on here, baby. All right, sometimes I'll do ride shares, not just sometimes. I think a lot of the times it really just depends on if I have a lot of things to do before that, or if I can kind of schedule things, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So pretty much, I use a rideshare program where I'll offer seats in my car here and there, right? And what I've noticed of doing this, like I meet all types of people. Very strange situations will happen with people from all over the place. I could tell you the amount of situation. These situations have been as strange as me, going into New York City and, like, let's say I take a Greyhound if I got to go to like Philly, or if I got to go to Baltimore. Like, I have so much of those situations where people just act a mess on like transit, any type of transit, whether or not it's the train in New York, the train in Toronto, you know, if I'm in Connecticut and I got to take the train from, New Haven into New York City, all types of nonsense happen. So pretty much these sites, you can either be a rider or you could be a driver. If you're a driver, you say you have one seat, empty seat, two empty seats, three empty seats. It really doesn't matter, and people can come along with you for the ride. I did actually meet somebody very, very interesting, a person who has a shit ton of crypto. I mean, I thought I had a pretty good amount of crypto, but this person has hundreds of thousands of dollars of crypto, where it's about 800,000 or so dollars of crypto, which is completely amazing because I've seen, a few portfolios of my friends, my peers, myself. We might have maybe 150, maybe 200, maybe 300,000 worth of crypto, but this guy had like 800,000. He was telling my strategy about how he does things because the markets are actually pretty um, cyclic. And of course, I knew that. I knew that ever since like 2017, 2018, typically around Christmas, you'll see a lot of movement, a lot of influx of funds into the market. Maybe it's because people have money because of Christmas. Maybe they want to spend money because of Christmas. Who really knows? But typically, in and around closer towards the end of the year, early January, you can see a substantial amount of movement. Deb says, do they put in for gas? Exactly. That's the whole premise is everybody chips in for gas because everybody's practically going to the same town or city or general direction, right? So pretty much, but I've noticed what's been happening on these sites is that a lot of people want to do door to door with, and they'll say like D2D. I've never heard that term before, D2D, but I knew what it was because in context, on a ride sharing app, and somebody's asking me, "Do you do D2D?" I'm like, I guess that means door to door, and I don't because I'm not a taxi, and I don't want to be a taxi because the whole premise for me is if I'm in Windsor, I got stuff to do in Windsor. I'm not there to drive around, but the problem is a lot of other people seem to want to use these ride sharing sites as a way to gain income, which you can make pretty decent money. Actually, in fact, you can make really good money. You could make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, but you gotta actually do it a certain way, which I can really talk about. Hi Monty, do you do reviews on Foodie Beauty? I want to, but the thing is, I mean, I got other things that I'm doing, and I don't know. How can I put this? Uh, every time I want to do stuff, I mean, there's a huge amount of other people. There's new people that are coming in constantly that wanna, I don't know, want to do Foodie Beauty reviews. I mean, I guess I could, but I just been really busy with other stuff, and then other things are just more interesting. Foodie Beauty has literally done the same thing over and over and over again, which is eat food, talk crap, stay in a country which I particularly think she doesn't want to be, but she's there because she wants to, I guess, maintain um, an appearance of being in a relationship with, a person. So whatever she wants to do. I mean, if she truly likes living in Kuwait, then sure, but I don't really think she does. So much other things she could be doing here, right? But hey, yeah. So as Deb says, they put in for gas. You go in the general same direction. Now there's certain rules to this whole situation, right? Um, I can't pick people up from their home because then I'm classified as a taxi. If I'm classified as a taxi, then my insurance um, grade or range changes because then I'm using my vehicle for commercial or as a job for commercial purposes. That's the whole thing, this whole premise, because we do have an act called the Ride Sharing Act or Carpooling Act is what it really is, where I can pick you up at like a major hub or transportation point or anything similar to that, like maybe at a mall, maybe at a en route. If you don't want to en route, that's what we call like carpooling lots. So there's specific carpooling lots all along the multitude of highways we have here in Canada, and certain carpooling lots have places like a pretty much a building where there's different fast food joints. Now, these days, Starbucks has been there for like the past year and a half or so. No, more closer to a year. They've pretty much had a deal where along our major like 400 series highways, you have a Starbucks there as well. She hasn't changed one bit. Yeah, Foodie Beat hasn't changed one bit. Do you watch Foodie Beat on your own time ever while driving? I actually was watching the Brits, like lots of the Brits, but I haven't been able to keep up with that because I've just been having a lot on my plate because as soon as I get home, I gotta take care of the fur babies. I gotta do a lot of stuff to maintain my home here, and then after that, I gotta look at a lot of material that I need to go over for like the next day or the next coming day. So I really haven't had the chance to really do what I was doing before. But hopefully I can. One thing I do every single day is try and better manage my time to try and get into a routine. Because on top of this, I'm actually relearning Python. Like I had learned Python a good bit years ago, but I stopped. So right now on my plate is I'm always constantly learning new skills. So one of the new skills I'm trying to do is learn Python because it just goes well with the crypto stuff that I've been doing. So I'm really getting back into that. So I've been using a lot of like, self learning, but with guidance websites where you pay like a monthly fee or a yearly fee and you learn how to code. So I've just been doing that. Do they do that in the US? How is it different than Uber? They do ride sharing in the US. Is it different than Uber? It is different than Uber because Uber is like a taxi because you do point to point pickups and drop offs. This isn't like a point to point, like I won't pick up at specifically like your house and then drop you off specifically at where another person's house. I won't be able to do that because if anything happens to people when they're in my vehicle, then my insurance won't cover it because I'm using my vehicle for, commercial purposes. And that's why a lot of people get into a lot of trouble when they don't change their class of insurance when they're trying to make money with Uber, because I've seen it time and time and time again. So that's the whole premise is that I can't pick somebody up from their house and drop them off at a specific location that they choose. Like I choose a location, it's either going to be like at a train station or at a mall or like at a Tim Hortons or I don't know, like at a Burger King or something. I can't just drop you off. You wanted to install Python on your Mac, but you needed a third party in order to run some app. Yeah. But a lot of people are quoting on their Macs these days. Like MacBook is the preferred way to code. So, but okay, so the backstory is I can drop somebody off at or pick them up at their door because that would change my insurance class. Plus, it's against the rules. But a lot of people try and use these ride sharing apps or programs, websites to make a living, which I mean, I don't knock it, but after a while, you're going to figure that if you don't have a full car, you're not going to make much money and it kind of is a waste of your time. But there's people who actually make a really good living. So let me get into that, then I'll get into my story. If you run the Toronto to Ottawa corridor, like Toronto to Ottawa, Ottawa to Toronto, or Toronto to Montreal, Montreal to Toronto, you can actually make a really good money. So you'll have these crew of people that particularly advertise on Kijiji, but they'll use ride sharing apps. And what they'll do, they'll offer seats, kind of cutting it maybe $5 or $10 below what other people are offering. And that's because they have like sprinter vans. So these sprinter vans can hold maybe 12, 14, 16 people. So if you do, let's say, like $40 cash to get to Ottawa or let's say Montreal, you times that by 16, like what's 40 times 16? And that's just one way. Then you go back. I think Ottawa would be better because you kind of shave off about an hour, hour and a half, sometimes even 2 hours in rush hour. So if you do that, 14 times $40, you make $560 cash. You times that by two, you make 1,120. You do this twice a day, you get about $2,240. Well, but then again, you're working pretty much from like super early in the morning until super late at night, right? And you minus your wear and tear on your tires, your engine, gas, you're still making really good money because it's all cash, right? You do this 7 times a week. Maybe some days you don't want to do it. Maybe on the weekends you want some time off. You're still making really good money, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And that's exactly what some people do. Like, this is literally all they do. Is their job is to drive the busiest corridor in the world, which is Toronto all the way to Montreal, or Toronto to Ottawa. It's still super, super busy in that corridor. I remember, if you really do Google it, the strip that is the Highway 401 between, Detroit/Windsor all the way to Montreal is the busiest highway corridor in the world that sees hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of cars per day. So it's really busy and people do make a lot of money. But let's just get in my story. So on the 3rd, I had some business I had to do in Windsor. So like I said, a lot of people just keep asking me for freaking door to door, and I don't do door to door. Python sucks, says Detective Coches. So what do you use? You use Java? Usually C++ guys and like those Java guys will always say Python sucks, but Python is the go-to language these days. Deb, yeah, congrats. You did your Discord setup, hopefully. All right, so back to my story. People keep asking me for door to door. I say no. This one specific person, it was actually under a female's name, kept on asking me for door to door, door to door, door to door. I kept on saying I don't offer door to door. They still booked a ride with me for some weird reason. And then I remember they booked it late. It was the night before I'm supposed to leave. This is one thing that really kind of pisses me off with people with ride shares is, if you're going to book with somebody last minute, I mean, less than 8 hours before the trip starts, that's pretty much last minute. And it's a pet peeve of mine when people do that. It's like, if you're going to travel hundreds of kilometers, the least you can do is be prepared and book your ride ahead of time. I've had people book like 15 minutes before the ride leaves, half an hour, an hour. I'm like, I get it if it happens every once in a while, but it's constantly happening. And I could never run my life like that. Like, I know where I'm going to be, where I need to be, and what I need to do to get there. There's never going to be a time in my life where, if I'm ever to book a plane flight or anything, that I'm constantly doing this last minute. Detective Coaches says C++ Java. C, okay. And what do you use those for? Like, what's your field there, Coaches, for you to be using those programs? I'm gonna use Python because I need to like still properly code my coins that I'm doing. Yes, I'm still actually gonna be doing coins myself. I know I said I was supposed to be doing that last year, but things came up. But whenever I put my mind to something, I'm still actually gonna do it. But back to the story. So pet peeve is if don't call somebody if the rideshare app gives you my phone number at 11:30 or 12 at night. Because this guy kept on calling me at night, and I know why he's calling me because he's trying to have me pick him up from his house. So I said I wasn't gonna answer, so I don't answer the phone. Plus, even if he probably was not gonna ask me for door to door, I'm still not gonna answer my phone because I think it's extremely rude to call somebody after a certain time. Like I think it's very mannerly if whether or not I have a rapport with you, I am not going to call anybody after 9 p.m. unless I know for sure they're okay with it. So if there's an acquaintance of mine, I don't call you after 9 p.m. because you could be sleeping. I don't know what you're doing. I'm not gonna just assume you run on my time and just think that the world just caters or revolves around me. You have things to do. You could be sleeping. I think people need to maybe think that maybe I could be sleeping because I'm the one who has to drive. I'm the one who has to actually pay attention to the roads. Plus, it was snowy conditions. It snowed. The roads are slippery. I need to pay attention. So don't call me at 11:30 p.m. to midnight wanting to talk shit because you're a stranger to me. I don't know you, and it's really annoying. So I didn't answer. So I got up in the morning and started picking people up. So I picked somebody up close, I guess, I don't know, not that far away from where I was. Then I picked another person up. Then I kept on going from the route. So I picked this guy up at the Flying J in London, Ontario. Most of you are not going to know where that is. It's just right off the highway off Highbury. So you create software for maintaining gas pipelines across USA and Canada. Okay, nice. So when are they gonna actually figure out where the gas leaks are? But because that's a big thing. You know what? I actually want to have a conversation of what the hell's gonna happen in literally a couple days when Trump gets his inauguration. He effectively becomes the president of the United States. What the hell's gonna happen with energy between Canada and the U.S.? What's gonna happen with NAFTA? Like, because any disturbances to our free trade agreement between three countries, Canada, USA, Mexico, any slight changes, even the slightest changes between currencies, I don't know, the power of the dollar, US dollar versus the Canadian dollar, does have debilitating effects. I don't know what is up with me today to a lot of people. So a lot of people actually will make or break themselves based on the stabilization of the dollar, while other people make or break themselves based on the slight changes in the dollar. So who knows? But I always want to think: is Trump just really saying things to say things to throw people off to kind of have people start thinking? Because words do have power. Because if somebody says they are going to do something, whether or not they are going to do it, he's going to move and stir the economy, right? So you're saying you're doing that now using weather methane maps and backtracking the density to determine the source, ETA 2026. Okay. I mean, that does make sense. But then again, doesn't the methane, what's that word when methane actually, you know, where the leaks are, the gas will trace itself along the pipe. So do you track it that way as well? Or are you just literally looking at methane in the air, and then figuring out where it's most dense, and then determining if there is indeed a leak at that spot. I forgot what the term is for when well, essentially any type of gas, but methane gas, when it traces itself along pipes. That's that there is a reason why a lot of people don't know this, but whenever you have gas in your home, um, there is a specific reason where when gas pipes are underground, you can't have it just enter the home without going above ground. And not a lot of people know it's because the gas will, of course, propagate in the soil, but it actually places and right, how do you put it, rides itself along the pipe and will enter your home. Now, that is a big problem if there's gas in your home. Now, another thing that people always freak out is, oh, there's gas in my home, your home's going to explode. Actually, it really depends. There's a specific ratio where gas can blow up your home, but just because gas is in your home doesn't mean that you can strike a match and it'll explode. It actually has to be at a very specific range of ratio for that to happen. And it really does depend on the gas. But we're not going to get into that, okay? We're going to get into something else. So pretty much I picked the guy up at Highbury at the Flying J. And then he gets in the car, and I swear I was gonna take off in about 15 minutes. If it was 15 minutes late, because I got there at 11:30 and I waited until about 11:35, kind of looking for him, and then he actually came up because it was 11:33. I stopped again, and then about a minute or two later, I'm turning the car around to go to the Denny's to see if he's in front of there. I see a guy waving me down, and it's him. So I'm like, okay. So I guess in the car and we take off. Then he's like, oh, what happened? Where was I? And should I have picked him up? I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm not picking you up. There's no picking you up here. We're not doing that. I'm not a taxi. I'm not there to drive people around. I'm literally a guy who literally is going from my house to a point that I need to be. I'm not there as a taxi. So I get into this conversation with the second guy, like the guy who was like 800,000 US dollars in crypto. Really good conversation of how he actually takes his money out and puts it into Tether because the market is cyclic and it will go down typically in the late spring, early summer months, and then it will start to rally again in a couple of months. Like I said, crypto is cyclic. If you really know the cycles, you can do that. And there could be drawdowns of up to like 60, 50, 60, 70%. Like it just keeps going down, down, and down. Just like how it will keep going up and up and up. Like there's going to be bear and bull runs all the time. And with crypto that's so volatile, you'll have bear runs for months and you'll have bull runs for months. But that is a completely other story. Other than that, all I gotta say is when we were approaching Windsor, I had to go to Devonshire Mall. It was either gonna be the outlet mall in Windsor was gonna drop this guy off at, or Devonshire Mall. The guy with the crypto said his wife's picking him up at Devonshire Mall. I'm like, okay, cool. So I'll drop him off there. Didn't really know where the other guy was going to, but both malls are really not that far off. So if I had to like kind of backtrack a little bit, I would do that. So it was Windsor Crossing Premium Outlet Mall is the other place. We are not going to get into that. I thought we just did. Yeah, I know tangents upon tangents, but I have a little bit of knowledge about certain things, and I'll share with you guys. Coach S says we have pig runs that run through the pipes, and our aircraft has several detection devices that while we fly very low, so good coverage. We deal with transport and gathering lines, not distribution. Gotcha. Okay, cool. Good job there, Coach S. That's pretty cool. All right, so yeah, I went to Devonshire Mall. The first guy gets out. I guess his wife was there right away. I was like, okay, cool. So I asked that guy, are you getting off here? He's like, no. So I'm like, okay, if you're not getting off here, then you're going to the premium outlets. He's like, no. Here is this place that I need to go to. He gives me an address. I was like, you only have two drop off points. You either get dropped off at Devonshire Mall or you get dropped off at the premium outlets. He's like, no, this is the address I need to go to. I promised him to bring him there. I'm like, I did no such thing. Because if I actually did promise to bring him there, I'd bring him there. But I didn't bring him there. He was just lying. So this is the point I knew that I got to take action because I hate when people tell lies on me. But it seems to be a typical shit show on these apps, and people constantly wanting to do door to door. If you want to do door to door, then pay for it. If you want somebody to be your personal taxi for 2 hours, just like how, Nads had somebody driving from, where was it? Gatineau, Ottawa area to Montreal. How much was he paying? Like 200, 250? No, it was like 250, right? Well, this is a little bit longer because between Ottawa and Montreal, it's about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. This is more like 2 hours, 2.5. So in reality, if he really wants me to do door to door, then he should be paying me $250, $300. I'm not a taxi. I'm literally a guy who has a car, who's given seats to ride with me up to a certain point where everybody either, stays on to the next drop off point or you get out. So he starts getting pissed off. Well, before he starts getting pissed off, I was like, you know what? If you're oh, Lola. Okay. But before that, I told him, if you literally are on my way to where I need to be, which was at the waterfront. So I needed to I had a meeting at the restaurant that is at the, where was it? Because, hey, Mr. Sorry, my dog. 1 second. And then we got Lola here. Lola, say hello. Lola Beer, say hello. Okay, she's eating. She doesn't want to talk right now. Okay, Mister. You okay? Look at you. You're so cute. Okay. All right. So pretty much I said, if you're going my way, which is close to Caesar's Windsor, I'll drop you off. If not, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you because I gotta meet at the restaurant there, and that's it. So either you get off here or you get off at the other place because as soon as I checked, he was nowhere near where I'm going, and I was not gonna literally be somebody's taxi for a couple of dollars. I don't work like that. I'm not gonna go out of my way for half an hour to an hour because I've done really nice things for people, and people will literally spit in your face. So I can't do it anymore. I will uphold my end of the bargain, which is you say you need to be dropped off at a common drop off point, which is the mall or a train station or a Timmy's or some sort of restaurant or wherever you need to go, then that's cool. I'll hold up to that end of the bargain because I'll do that. It's honorable to do. I'll do that. But no way in hell am I dropping anybody off at their house and go out of my way for up to an hour for a couple dollars. There's no way. So I said no. So he starts getting pissed off, wants me to talk to his wife, starts yelling and screaming. I was like, oh, hell no. Get out of my car. Get out of my car. So he starts getting pissed. I was like, I just looked at him like, I turned around like, get the fuck out of my car. He hops up, gets out of the car, and then slams the door. Oh, Oh, Lola, you know I was pissed off, right? Right, baby? Lola is like, yes. Baby girl. She knows. Baby girl. So then the audacity of this man to to pull his arm back, acting as if he was gonna throw a punch. I'm like, is this for real now? Does this man is this man just assaulted me? This man literally pulled his fist back to try and throw a punch. And I was like thinking, what am I gonna do right now? Because I'm like, in one hand, I'm thinking, no, he didn't just try to do that. Was he no, but no, he's a grown ass man. And when the cops arrived, they said the same thing. They thought he was a kid. I totally get there. Like when I showed them the picture of this man, they're like, it's literally a grown ass man. He's doing this. You're gonna get yourself in trouble over a ride. It's ridiculous. But I was thinking maybe he should have the punch should have landed because all hell would have broke loose. And I'm like, can you imagine through this whole situation? I could hear him in my backseat before he did that, and he was cursing at his wife, saying he's gonna do shit. You know, she better watch out because she's the one who made this deal. Oh, I didn't mention that. What had happened was I expected a lady to be in the ride with me. It was not. It was a dude. So he was riding under his wife's name, which you're actually not supposed to do because there's this huge thing with safety. And so situations like just happened with him. Whenever that happens, I need to know who was in the vehicle with me. And if you're riding under another person's name, then I don't actually know who you are. So you're not supposed to do that, but a lot of people do that. So it really kind of, hi, honey, say hello. All right. So a lot of people write on other people's names. So a lot of times I'm like, okay, I'll just let it slide. But this time I really should not let it slide. But since it happened like this, shit happens. So I was like, okay, so first of all, this guy, then he got out of the car, he walks away, right? And I'm thinking, what if I was a woman? Then wouldn't this be super scary for me? I'm like, this dude who I don't know how he was. I'm like, the dude's like 5'8". I don't know, like maybe 170. I'm like, dude, you better stop. You better stop, okay? Because I don't know who you think you're throwing punches at. But one thing that really pissed me off was I knew, and I even said this to the cop, find this dude because he was literally threatening to beat his wife. And I don't play them games. Because one situation was, I didn't really care. He tried to do his shit. If he had landed that punch, then of course I would defend myself, right? The other situation was, so I didn't care, but I really did care that the whole situation with the wife, plus coupled with, he already has been lying saying I was going to drop him off, which I never said I was going to drop him off. So I don't know if he was just fibbing, not telling the truth. Maybe his wife didn't tell him the truth, that saying that I said I would drop him off when I really wasn't going to drop him off. I don't know, but I was really concerned. So, of course, for documentation purposes, because he is gonna go on the site/app again and tell them all types of shit that happened, blah 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 blah. I was like, I'm gonna document this for multitude of reasons. I was like, I really hate this shit because now I am late for my appointment, and I don't know how long these cops are gonna take to get the hell to Devonshire Mall. But actually, they got there in about 20 minutes. After 10 minutes of explaining the situation of what the app is, that this was a ride share, and this guy was just really pissed off because I wouldn't drop him at his house. And I said, yeah, I would drop him if it was on my way because I was going towards the waterfront, towards, Caesars, Windsor. And then I was like, the first cop that showed up was a female cop. And I'm like, Also, there's the situation where I just feel like you really should kind of get this guy. Not that, I didn't really feel in danger for my life because I wasn't scared of this dude. Like, you do whatever, I'll defend myself. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say. But I really do feel if he's acting away and we're saying certain things like he's just gonna go back home and beat his wife based on a mistake or because he's just angry. I'm like, the dude is a grown ass man. Devonshire Mall has a bus station. Just take the fucking bus, pay your $3 or whatever it is. I don't even know because um, typically in my area, if I am gonna take a bus, which I still do, I still take buses and I still take the train. In fact, I took the train a week ago because I had to get downtown Toronto, and it's actually easier to take the train than drive. But we have this thing called Presto, so it's pretty much it gives you a card where you can pay your fare based on the card. Because back in the day, between major cities and whatnot, it was really annoying to use transfers or pay from one transit system and then hop on another, then pay for that, and then a lot of that has been very simplified with having what's called a Presto card. So once again, I don't know how much the buses are in Windsor. I would think maybe $3, $3.50. I think typically that's the price. Just pay your $3.50 and go about your business. Don't be a dumbass and then get yourself in a situation where you assault somebody and then you have consequences like that, because these days if you do that kind of stuff, it can be life changing. And especially when you're talking harshly about you're gonna assault your wife and she's gonna have a lot of consequences for the situation that you feel like most Chicago, right? I do have a dash cam. I don't have it in the car on that day because certain things happen. But in my other car, I have one. I do have one for this car. And after that situation, I was like, okay, time to install the dash cam in this other vehicle because we can't have that again. But pretty much, I documented the whole situation. The next day, I called the station, an emergency line, got the report number, crossed my T's, dot my I's. So some people are like, wait a second. Didn't you say you got a assaulted? I'm like, yeah. And but people are like, well, did he hit you? I'm like, no. So people are like, well, then how did somebody assault you? And here's where we gotta get some knowledge here, people. What's up, Polly? How you doing? Let me give you the definition of assault. Assault is the intentional act of causing or threatening to cause physical harm or unwanted contact to another person. Okay? So if somebody goes like this, like they're gonna punch you, that's the assault part. If they actually punch you, that's the battery part. A lot of people get this confused with the law. So the intentional act of him, getting ready to throw a punch, as per definition of the law, is the act of causing or threatening to cause physical harm. The hitting, the physical contact between my person due to that person, that's the battery part. So that's why there is the confluence of terms, assault and battery. And that's why I named this, because even the cops said the same thing, but I knew what the definitions was. Okay, so please don't get confused. Okay, but the female cop and then two other cops came. I'm like, oh, what does he look like? I'm like, oh, he's in a white shirt with like dark gray pants on. I'm like, I took a picture of him. They're like, oh, you got a picture? I'm like, yeah. I wasn't scared of the situation, but no matter if I'm scared or not, regardless of that fact, if an assault happened, it happened, right? And if it was to batter me, then that would have been a whole different situation where I have the right to defend myself. I know, I'm telling you, Monty would be extremely happy to defend himself in an assault and battery situation. Let me just put it that way. I'll be very happy to defend myself. Anyways, so that's what happened. Good old Windsor. Windsor, Ontario. Good thing the whole situation literally took half an hour. I was able to catch my meeting, and nothing else happened. And after my meeting, I went to Willistead Manor. I gave a whole rundown of Willistead Manor. Most of you guys enjoyed it, so that's really good. Monty's probably gonna call. The whole thing was the whole document. You know what? So, as I thought, the dude and his wife decided to make up all sorts of shit, saying that I was improper and I was unkept and I was rude and I did this and I did that. And I'm like, yep, this is the very reason I had to document this shit, because of bullshit like this. You can't go a day where you just have peace in your fucking life. You'll live up to your contractual obligations in a right share. And then there's always some jackass trying to use you. And then when they can't use you, they make up fucking lies. In Windsor, Ontario, they don't throw hands, they throw dentures. Auntie, why did you live stream during your mother's funeral begging for money? Do people just like go off on the truth? That is incredibly asinine. Holy shit. Like, first it was, hey, Monty, why did you stream your mom's funeral? Oh, let me explain that, because we were still in the midst of a pandemic. Family members couldn't get to be here. So the only way for them to see it, essentially live, effectively live, is for me to live stream it. So yes, and I know it's a troll, but did I lie? So you think during a funeral I am literally begging for money? What a dumbass shit to even say. Idiot. That's so stupid. Anyways, that's the story. And that's it. Story about ride shares. We heard from Detective Coches here about gas lines and whatnot. And you heard from me about why your gas line has to come out of the ground and then go into your home above ground. The reason why is because gas will creep along the pipes. Let me look up for what that term is. I kind of forgot. Give me a second here. I'll see if I can find it. If I can't, then it's all good, because it probably will come up with what do you do to trace pipes underneath underneath the ground, but that only has to do with like plastic pipes, because you actually have tracer wire attached to plastic pipes underground, so you can pick it up with a specific detector. And that is not the answer I'm looking for. Anyways, if I find the answer, I find the answer. But we can get into that conversation another day. All right. That was it. This was supposed to be short, and that was it. Like I said, I left Windsor. I came back home. Meeting was good. I learned a lot of new things in terms of crypto and how to kind of keep my assets safe during a market downturn, which is literally going to happen. Like, the markets are cyclic. And this guy had a really good game. He said the guy that had like 800,000 US dollars in crypto, he said he literally started with only a couple $100, and then he was choosing certain coins that would 100x or 1,000x, and he just kept on reinvesting said money and using the strategy of whenever there is a downturn in the market or a short squeeze, then he'll just convert his money into Tether, and then he will buy back into the crypto if he feels the market cap is good enough to continue with at least a doubling or 10 times or more. So there you go. I should do a crypto stream again soon because there's a lot of market movers these days, a lot of coins that I feel are gonna at least 100 times. So what happened with the yeah, he was, yeah, Polly was in Japan during the lockdowns. Crazy how stories change. Like people just make up the most random shit. Anyways, Polly, man, nice to see you again. I guess I'll try and do another stream on my main channel, but that was a story for you. I've had a lot of stories with lots of just strange people when I do writers. Remember this other story? I think I talked about it. It was this guy when we stopped at the halfway point when I would go to Montreal or Ottawa a lot. My halfway point is typically like Kingston. It's not exactly halfway, but it's good enough. And I remember this one guy, he wouldn't eat, but then he started like unzipping a Ziploc bag with like tinfoil. So at first I thought it was a sandwich. I'm like, oh, great. This guy is now eating a sandwich in my car, which I don't mind, to be honest with you. I'd rather keep the car moving than and have somebody eat in my car. I mean, I'm gonna vacuum my car. I'm gonna clean the seats. I'm gonna shampoo the seats. Like it's not like a big deal. I try and keep my car as clean as possible, or should I say, car as clean as possible. But so when I saw this dude unwrap what I thought was a sandwich, it wasn't a sandwich. It was actually a phone where you could remove the battery. So he had the phone with the battery outside of the case of the phone. So he put the battery back in the phone, put the case covering on, or battery covering on, and then started making his calls. I'm like, Jesus Christ. He's one of those guys that think people are tracking him. I'm like, okay, cool. All right. And the strangest thing about it, well, not even that. What really, really dug me in is he gave me a bad review. He's like, oh, he didn't like the music I was playing. Then I'm like, excuse me? How about you ask me to change the channel to the radio station to a different radio station if you don't like the music? Like, I can't read your thoughts. Isn't that the whole point of him taking the battery out of his phone? He doesn't want his thoughts read or him to be tracked. I'm not a mind reader. Just say, just say you don't like this kind of music. I'm really cool. I'm very open with any types of music. Shit. If I'm in like North Cumberland County on my way to like Kingston, Ontario, either I'm going to Montreal or I'm going to Ottawa, all they play is freaking country music. So I gotta do about 2 hours or so country music because all the channels are playing country music. That's all they do. So I'm cool, man. I'm good. Country music, rock, classical, whatever. I'm good with some TS. I'm good with some TS Monk. I can listen to some TS Monk. Listen to ACDC. I'll listen to anything. I'll listen to Dan and Shay. That tequila song. I love that tequila song by Dan and Shay. That's a really good song. But yeah, lots of strange people. So yeah, the guy gave me a freaking negative review over something that all he had to do was speak up. I can't read your mind, okay? Some proper Hank Williams. Hey, who is T.S. Monk? Dan and Shay. So DAN plus sign SHAY. They're country music artists, Dan and Shay. They have the song Tequila that came out a couple years ago. Like it actually went pretty mainstream, that Tequila song, even though they're country music artists. Who is T.S. Monk? T.S. Monk is Thelonious Sphere Monk. Uh if you know who that is, typically a lot of people will know who Thelonious Sphere Monk is. He's an American jazz. He's an American jazz player, right? Singer, player, artist, and he was really well known. He's a jazz pianist and composer. Really, he has actually a lot of songs that you probably heard of. In fact, Monk is the second most recorded jazz composer after Duke Ellington. So that's Thelonious Sphere Monk, aka T.S. Monk. So I'll listen to some jazz. I'll listen to some freaking classical music. You know, I'm partial to everything. Oh, you know him? Of course. Of course, Polly. Huge. Was huge in the United States back in his day. But yeah, T.S. Monk is I like his works. Very good. Very, very good jazz pianist. Dan and Shay, very good artists. Anything. I'll listen to anything. So that guy's problem shouldn't have been a problem at all. That's all I'm saying. So yes, there is Thelonious Monk is the third, is the son of Thelonious Sphere Monk. So there has been generations of monks out there. But Thelonious Sphere Monk the third is actually a jazz drummer and composer. That's the son of Thelonious Sphere Monk. And that individual is one of the best, or one of the best jazz artists slash composers there has ever been. All right, I'm gonna end this in like a couple minutes. But people, thanks for hanging out with me for an hour or so. You guys saw Lola; she was hanging out in Eaton. Um, One second, I gotta send a text message. Oh, I gotta thank somebody. All right, I sent them the thanks. It is crazy stories. I want to talk about. I want to talk about so many things that are on my mind to talk about right now. Like we can talk about this whole trade in between, the three countries that effectively is North America. Thanks, Monty and Lola. Yes, thank you, Deb. Really appreciate it. Lola is now gone to her room and her bed. She's gonna hang out there for a while. I also, in my office in the attic, I do have some faux fur mats that she likes to kind of snuggle up on. Martha loves that as well. Martha and Lola, they love it. John will also snuggle up on that. Speaking of John, I think he's just somewhere in the house. Well, I shouldn't say I have no idea. Effectively, I know he's in the house. It's just that I have multiple floors, and John is probably in one of the spare rooms on the bed, on the comforter. John. So John is my tabby cat. And then I have my little doggy. You heard him. He's very comfortable wrapped up in some throws on one of the couches. So we have that. Thanks. Lola's done. Lola is done with me. She just uses me for food, shelter, and clothing. That's all Lola does. All right, people. What's my dog's name? Well, how about we leave that for another story? I'll tell you my dog's name the next time we are on Monty After Dark, and I'm gonna be talking about something. But yeah, I'll show John because John is very not camera shy. It's actually typically he's around here, but I think he might be taking a nap. I'm gonna try and find him. But thanks again, people. Smash that like button, all that good stuff. Should I name my dog Snoop DOGG? Maybe I should. Yes, John is John Rambo. Do you know why I call him John Rumble? Because he destroys the crap out of this house. You should see John on my curtains. I got these really nice new curtains, and John just destroyed them within a day. But he's really good with like not knocking over the Christmas tree. At least we have that. Nice seeing you again, Polly. Appreciate you. Happy New Year, sir. If I haven't said Happy New Year to you, Happy New Year. Really do appreciate every one of you. And hey, I'm out. Take care of yourselves and have a great one. Bye bye.